the things that mean so much to you and me. Let's talk. Talk about the things that mean so much to you.
It's like a comedy show. You know what? You busted me getting ready to take a drink and everything else and all that other kind of stuff of my very delicious H2O. It came out of the fountain today. Hey, everybody. I'm just kidding. Well, I just thought I'd do a joke today. Welcome to Let's Talk. I tell you, man, we've been hearing so much stuff on television this week and last week. And so I wanted to take the pulse of what's going on in the city of Cincinnati, or basically general people. Sometimes they have specialists on television, and according to this position and blah, 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 this specialist says this and so on, so on. And I don't know if you feel like me. I'm like, well, who gave them the right to represent guys over 40? You know, all of us, or all the women, or all the young people. Who gave that one person the right to represent all of us? And then when we hear perspective from you, the people, it's completely different than the specialist. Right. You know, so I'm like, okay, well, let's just get some people in there that can just have a conversation. I have another guest that's going to be coming on the show today, Deacon James Lewis, who is a very well-known person in the city of Cincinnati. For those of you that are watching out of Cincinnati, if you may not know Deacon Lewis, but you know people just like Deacon Lewis, who basically is in touch with the community, very active. He's a manager of a gospel group here in Cincinnati, been singing for a long, long time, coming straight up out of Alabama. And during the latter part of our discussion at the table, Let's Talk, we're going to talk to him about some of the stuff that he had to come up with. So what I really wanted to do was just kind of sit down and have a very comfortable conversation. And I'm going to welcome my very first guest. And also, I want you to get your papers, because right in the middle of the program, we're going to give you some upcoming announcements that you really need to know about. Ladies and gentlemen, please get your pencils and your pieces of paper. It's really good stuff. Really good stuff. So you really need to write it down. If you don't write it down, you're not going to get it. And I know this program is going to loop several times this month, so you can get it again. But why not get it today while it's available, right? Okay, cool. So let me go to my very first guest. She's a community activist. She is very, very abreast with the heartbeat of the city of Cincinnati, different communities, different areas, different people. She works with youth. She works with seniors. She works with the voter registration. She is just really very active in the community. And we took the opportunity to ask her to come out today just to have a conversation about the pulse of the city from you, the people. Not necessarily, as I said earlier, not necessarily the specialists and Dr. So-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. I'm talking about Mary that sits up on the couch, and George has got a beer, and Fred and Quan and a little bit of everybody. So please welcome my very first guest, which we're going to entitle this, The Pulse of the City. We're not specialists. We're just talking about what we hear at the dinner table, church, the couch, driving to work with your best girlfriend, the brothers in the barbershop, that kind of stuff, this kind of conversation. Please welcome my very lovely guest, Miss Kelly Prather. Hey, welcome.
Hey, Henry, how you doing?
I am so good. I am so very, 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 very good. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me out again. I really appreciate you.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And of course, you always understand the reason I always invite you out, because you always have a good word to talk about.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I guess there's so many things we could do. And as I said earlier, I wanted to be open and not necessarily have a set agenda of discussion. You know, I can start off with the first thing, because one of the things that I find that people are very annoyed with in current news today, but nobody's talking about it, or no one's speaking of it. I had to be, correct you guys. So no one's speaking of it. Right. Is the ads for these different official offices and things, yes. and the negativity and oh my goodness, the slashing and the mudslinging, and perhaps I'm not necessarily of the age, but thinking, does that really address the points of what we're concerned about? When we hear, well, he might go to jail for this and she might do that, does that really address our concerns as to the reason why we're voting for that person.
Right, of course not, sir. Of course not. And I, too, like you, I mean, I'm really concerned with the smear campaigns, and it takes away from the issues.
Sure.
It does not address the needs of the community.
Sure.
It does not address the candidate's platform, and it kind of speaks to the character of the individual who's allowing these ads to be representative of their campaign.
Wow.
So, some of the ads that I've seen basically are so denigrating, and they try to stereotype and characterize one particular candidate as an illegal immigrant.
Sure.
And they're racist. To say the least, they are racist and they're nasty. And again, it speaks to the character of the candidate who is putting the ads out there,
sure.
Especially since it's fake news.
Sure.
But, I think it's indicative of where we are as a society.
Sure.
If you look at it from a tops-down approach, the White House to our houses, it kind of reflects what's going on in our society. And you know that President Donald J. Trump was a reality TV show host.
Absolutely, and he plays on the premise of drama,
yes.
the excitement,
yes.
like they will, and before he tells you you're fired, the camera will freeze.
Yes. Yeah.
And the music,
yeah, right.
You're not fired. Oh, I thought he was going to get so that suspense
right.
is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And not to cut you off. Have we gotten to the point that what they give us in these kind of elections considered to be acceptable, or do they think we're that dumb, or are we didn't mean to say dumb, but gullible, that we give this? In other words, when I say gullible, has it been proven that folks, I didn't answer myself, folks can be persuaded with so much negativity that versus focusing on the issues, form a dislike for an individual from the smear. Well, I don't like him because he kissed a nun in the Catholic school when he was 2 years old.
Right.
Oh, that's ridiculous. So the image of the individual is smeared as some crazy little kid, and he's 75 years old running for office.
Running for office.
I'm exaggerating. Just you guys pray for me, right? But I really am. And I'm trying to be politically correct in saying that should we be insulted that this manner of presentation is being provided to us and distracting us from the major focus or the purpose of what the ad should really be about?
To answer your question, I think that any upstanding citizen who tries to live a dignified life should be insulted.
Sure.
But unfortunately, we set ourselves up for this. We allowed ourselves to be set up for this in the sense that, considering that reality TV shows have taken precedence over the news or what's going on or current events over the past 8 years. So it was all by design. And when you think about the fact that media suppression is real, voter suppression is real.
So wait a minute. Media suppression. Let's expound on. What do you mean when you say media suppression?
Right.
Expound on that just a little bit.
Media suppression, meaning positive images of certain cultures are suppressed. And so they put out the news that they want us to hear. So when you think about programming, when you think about content of programming, you'll see more healthy, viable, productive members of society outside of poor white and poor black communities. When they portray black people on programming, what you'll see is a lot of negative. You'll see a lot of reality TV shows. Think about the Housewives of Atlanta. Think about the hip hop wives. Think about all of that programming.
Programs, period.
Yes.
So we are being inundated with what we call programming. A deliberate, systematic programming of individuals to be able to get a certain group or an individual's point across in their behalf and put the impression upon the viewers that even though they may be the best or great, but based upon what I'm feeding you, I want to persuade you, to program you to think that this is a negative, this is a bad person, or this is not a good situation.
Well, you could look at it either two ways. You can look at it that they're trying to persuade you that what's important is drama. negative stereotypes in the drama and to feed into this as opposed to taking in the more positive messages or being really involved in what's going on in your community.
Wow.
So it's like we're being psychologically conditioned through the media.
Wow.
Before, when you had TV, when they first started having black and white TVs, you had those subliminal messages.
Sure.
So they played the mind tricks in that way, but now it's just blatant in your face.
Wow. Wow. So, and I guess our focus or awareness should be, am I trying to be persuaded for the better? Is this genuine or is this, I hate to say this, but is this really fake news?
I would say a lot of it is fake news. A lot of it is fake news, and it takes our focus. Again, these reality TV shows take our focus off of what's important.
Wow.
And so we're being persuaded to think that anything that's substantive, any substantial information that's being presented is boring.
Wow.
If you're not live or you're not hip, if you're not just all into this TV show and just
Sure.
presenting this image where you have the perfect body, and
Wow.
they're making it about that.
Wow.
And that's not what's going to sustain us. That's
Wow.
not what's going to sustain communities and make sure that we have the resources that we need. It's not productive.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that is the point that's causing me to bring this conversation to the table. When I hear all of this and that, well, I'm here to sell you corn. Well, this cow went this way and walked through the cornfield, and a bumblebee went over it and stung a guy in the field, and water came through the field, and they had to flush the fields, and it rained, and over across the street a car accident happened by the field, never addressing the corn.
Right.
They're talking about I don't want that corn because that guy probably got gas from the car. There was an accident and ran in the field and went in our corn. I'm just talking about how it can just expound in some places to take your focus from the fact this is supposed to be a commercial about corn.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's the great distraction.
Wow.
And, when you think about the fact that we're in the height of the 2018 midterm elections.
Wow.
But we had the great distraction in the sense that they threw Brett Kavanaugh out there, and so our focus was all on that. So all while we were going through the Senate confirmation hearings with Judge Kavanaugh, they were passing bills. They were implementing these or setting up these ballot initiatives, not educating or informing people about what's really going on.
Wow.
And so, again, that's how it happens. They create, this facade that, this is what's really important, when really we're so focused on the White House and not even thinking about what needs to happen in the State House to make sure that our houses are taken care of.
Hamilton County, I had a good friend who had an incident, an unfortunate incident, concerning a child, and very good parent. Very. The incident was honestly and truthfully an accident or misfortune, however you want to do it. And if you knew the individual, you would understand that they're great parents. But the bottom line was, when the sensationalism came out and they had to go to the juvenile courts or whatever it is for the kids, whatever that is, the picture that was portrayed was so horribly different than the real character of the individual for the sensationalism of saying, Judge, this kid is in threat and blah, blah, I'm in danger and all this other kind of stuff. And people who have not been in that situation were like devastated.
Yeah.
How can they say that about me? I've never done that. But in the desire to look like you're an effective organization at taking care of kids and protecting kids, you come up with all these over-dramatized situations that rip families apart. When they're supposed to be in the position to protect and strengthen. If it is, because most folks know that kids, when they have loving parents, the best situation is to be with the loving parents.
Right.
But when your idea or your vision or whatever you want to say, interpretation of something is based upon textbook, and for those of us that are in the world today, folks, there's no such thing as a textbook family.
That's right.
Or textbook children. The ones we think are textbooks, they write us another chapter.
Right.
So we're going into and help me with these words, because I'm so overwhelmed by all of the detailed stuff that is being contributed to distract us. You know, and I guess the bottom line is, how do we get the real deal? You know, simple things. We had a guest on the program, and they were talking about some things that came out of the news. You're talking about images and things like that. The fact that that every station, every news have to report to, I think, the Federal Communications Commissions.
Yes. And
when there are issues that concern you as a person, that you don't feel like if they misreported something, or unfairness, or lied about something, you can put a formal complaint against that station. You know, so perhaps if we find these type of advertisements, thank you, Holy Ghost, offensive versus accepting it, understanding, I want to let you know, Senator Coffee Cup, this form of promotion and marketing is unacceptable to me.
Right, right.
So I'm calling you on your phone or at your campaign office to let you know we're not that dumb. What you have just done with this ad has insulted me as a citizen of this country, a resident of this community, and you didn't address the points, but you're busy talking about what this person is smearing and all this other, rather than focusing on what's the most important thing. When you go to Washington, when you go to Columbus, you say, as this entitled individual from this district, you are representing me, because all of us cannot get into that.
That's right.
Big court, Senate room
Right.
to discuss our concerns or what we feel is going to best suit us.
Right.
So when you're not able to provide me information to make me feel comfortable about putting my check by your name in support of what you're saying you're going to do, you're disrespecting me as a voter.
That's right. You're disrespecting me as a voter. And unfortunately, a lot of times, especially African Americans, our vote is taken for granted.
Wow.
We're not educated. We're not informed. We're simply told who to vote for. And that's unacceptable.
Sure.
That is unacceptable. But like you said, these individuals, they want you to write checks. They want you to support their campaigns.
Sure.
However, they're so far removed from the community, and they
Sure.
don't understand what we need and what we want from them.
Sure.
And one of the things, especially where the FCC is concerned, the Federal Communications Commission, we need more programming that accurately reflects our community and is going to empower and uplift.
I agree. In conjunction with what you're saying, what I'm finding today is everyone's speaking about what we need, along with saying, here is this to support
Right.
what we need.
Exactly.
I always have a lot of reservations of someone telling me what you need to do. You need to do this and you need to do blah, blah. With my kids, when there was a situation, I know there was a number issue, recognizing it from the parent, if it was out of my reach, algebra, then providing,
Right.
y'all laughing at me, but
It's serious.
providing assistance, because I knew that was relevant for them as they progressed in their worldwide growth.
Right.
They needed to be more expounding on their education than just the local 4-block radius of living in Silverton or living in Kennedy Heights. They needed to be prepared if they were in New Zealand. You know, numeric system's the same. You know, 1 + 1 is 2. You know, English is English.
Right.
Now, they may speak a different different language, in a different country, but English is still English.
That's right.
So to prepare them and understanding this is what I need to do because it's necessary.
Right.
So for us to get information, we've got to not stop. We want to be conscientious of not being passive on such pertinent issues pertaining to us.
Okay.
You know, we talked about the schools and how people are coming out of the communities, building all the schools right in our own neighborhoods. Well, I've worked in construction, and when the thing went out for the different people in our community, were they really prepared to bid for those jobs?
Right.
Were they really, skill-wise, but business-wise, were they? Did they have an actual company Do they pay taxes?
Right.
Do they have insurances and things like that? So it would appear, in my ignorance, that we would found those kind of things so that there are no excuses for why we did not get those jobs.
That's right. That's right.
Why we did not get those opportunities. Because it's so easy to complain.
Right. It is really easy to complain, but you make a valid point. Now, even when we have carpentry programs and labor-based or skilled trades in the schools, we give them the skills, but we don't give them the ability to be entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
The one thing I've always said is that, you teach the skill, but you put a business management and you couple that with a business management course and an accounting course, you have a ready-made entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And that's why, I really respect the yeshiva, the Jewish method of training their students.
Exactly.
They train their students to be employers as opposed to employees. So they'll teach them a skill,
Wow.
but they also teach them the ability to go out and start these companies and have people work for them. So they know the skill, plus they know the business behind acquiring the contract so
Wow.
that you can be self-sustaining.
Teach me again, what was the name
It was
of
a yeshiva.
Yeshiva?
Yeshiva. Yeshiva.
Wow.
A yeshiva. That's the name of their school systems.
When I brought this kind of subject up in a discussion with a lot of faith-based leaders, community activists, it turned into a venting session of, well, you have to understand, we need this, and they're not giving us that, and so and so, so and so, so and so. And the bewilderment for me was when I look into the community, whether it's women's community, young men's community, all of the gifts and the visions in so many individuals, if it were ever developed, we'd be a zillion-dollar
That's right.
nation.
That's right. That's
you know, and so if that kind of concept, but if you look at a lot of the things that come out of that particular community, it's in a lot of cases it's self-sustained, it's self-aware of what they should do, the responsibility I need to do with the kids.
Right.
And so, not why, how can we get to a point to bring these points out that these are major things to make a difference? Because you must admit, because of their economic status, they get more attention than others.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a known fact that I think in 2014, I did the research, and the Jewish faith owned 95% of the world's wealth, and so that is a known fact. But the way that we do this is we, especially as it relates to our public officials, we go to whoever is running for state school board. We go to whoever is running for the public school system, the positions in your school district, and you say, okay, what is your platform? And this is what we would like to see in your platform. And so I can support you, I can get behind you if you advocate for this, that, and the other.
Wow.
So this is where it starts. This is where you get the resources
Wow.
that you need to have sustainable communities. And this is where you get the skills, the training, everything. So it starts with voting. It starts with going
Sure.
and holding these elected officials accountable
Sure.
and making it be more than the standard status quo, the
Sure.
same thing over and over.
Sure.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can enhance the wheel by
Sure.
saying, okay, this is what you should put in the program.
Yeah.
And it's based on the fact that if you want to create jobs, create entrepreneurs who can create jobs.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can look at the fact that the research proves that these companies that are existing are not supporting our students.
Sure.
So that's
Or
how you
our
do
community.
that. Our community,
You
our
know,
students, and our family. So
And based upon the statement that you just made, and looking at it from an overall view of how so-called government people think, there's a difference between somebody that has an idea versus someone that has a vision.
right.
It's a big difference. Somebody has, but the vision simply says, well, if you take this, blah, 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 so and so, so and so. So what you brought up was, that I want to kind of point out in your statement, was the simple fact that this is an individual, just a regular person, not necessarily a sinner, not necessarily a community activist, that had a specific about their neighborhood. I just moved into the West End, into beautiful area down there, and I used to living in the burbs and stuff like that. And one of the streets had potholes and things, and my assumption, I figured since all of the residents was around, someone was going to call because there were very deep potholes.
Right.
In coming down on one particular street. It was an off street, but I just assumed. And then all of a sudden I started thinking, well, you know what? I should not assume that they're going to do it. If I know it needs to be done, let me be responsible.
That's right.
Called down to the City Hall, gave my name, gave the specifics about the potholes, the location, and identified that because I have to drive my car past there every day, possible losing the suspension on your cars because the pothole was so deep, and I would like to know, when are you going to come to fix it?
Right, right. So
forgetting that if you could help me, and now I'm thinking, no, this is my city, this is my neighborhood,
right.
This is why I pay my taxes. I need you to come fix this road. Well, 2 days later, they came and fixed it.
Okay, very nice. So you took the initiative to go ahead and you were proactive instead of reactive. Well, you reacted to the problem, but you proactively reached out to the people who you needed to get that problem solved.
And that's what we're telling our viewers, that you can do this.
That's right.
Because so many times we're so passive. Oh, yeah, they'll do it. They, you know. And there was an old thing that says, don't put off tomorrow
what you can
do today.
Yes.
You know, and imagine if you had just 6 people in a 20-block radius that had a concern about certain street, certain neighborhood, certain playground, or something that's of major interest to everybody. You know, and they focused in on it and addressed the different places where each of them had expertise in. Imagine the changes that would come forth. You know, or the simple fact, if you find that these ads are offensive, call. If you don't think this is acceptable, let them know.
That's right.
But we don't let them know. We're passive. Oh, that's just them. You know, blah blah blah. And I'll tell you, it's to me, I couldn't believe it. My mouth dropped to the floor. You know, and you have all these people, you don't believe in me, these actors, and they invoke these emotions, and then the bottom line, it could have been the best issue in the world, but because somebody didn't want this to take place because they weren't going to profit for it, they're going to put all this negative stuff out there, not concerning the facts. What does this issue? Who is it going to benefit? What area? Blah, blah. What's it going to cost? I mean, how much on my taxes extra is it going to cost? And when I get it, is it going to enhance my life? Well, first of all, you don't have to go all the way down 12 blocks to get off your expressway. You can now get off right there, and we're going to make this street a 2-way. So now you can go. It takes 5 minutes less than you getting from some, and you're off the main traffic area. I'm exaggerating, but I'm simply saying it in some way it'll benefit.
Right.
Wow, how awesome! How awesome! I tell you. So anyway, you guys keep talking about this because it is of major importance to recognize that number one, man, you can definitely be proactive, and I think once you get started, of understanding that you really have power. Sitting in your little room, sitting in your wheelchair, you have power. You really do. It's called telephone. No. I'm just kidding, everybody. Don't be mad at you. You guys know I'm crazy. But really, telephone. Because if you remember several times on television, they told you call your whatever elected official and let them know so and so, so and so. So let me make you aware. It does make a difference. It really, really does make a difference when there's a bombardment of telephone calls concerning a certain issue. You know, I told someone the other day there was a big wall standing in back of us, and there's probably about 50 or 100 bricks on the wall. And my question to the individual, of all these bricks on this wall, which of these bricks is the least important in the wall? And the answer is none of them are least important.
That's right.
Because it takes all of them to make a wall. Remember, you're part of that wall.
Yes.
All right. Me too.
Me too.
Me too. Me too. Man, I am hearing in the barber shop. I'm hearing in the church. I'm hearing in, oh my goodness, wow. And I hear television, you know, and I hear all the different people bringing out stuff. And I had, you know, brought this question up on a previous show. And and please understand, my comment is not being insensitive to the fact that it's a valid movement and it has legitimate things to bring these kind of topics up. But from viewing such a multitude, and every last one of them are now being taken to ta-da dynamic level, the question I'd asked before, is it possible in some cases that in that name of Me Too, it could possibly be a hindrance to the overall women empowerment movement?
Well, anything is possible. I will say that anything is possible, but you have these trends.
Sure.
I'll say these trends. Now, I do support the Me Too movement.
Sure.
Let's be clear. Any woman who has been victimized,
legitimately, you're right.
legitimately
I agree.
need the support wherever it comes from, whether it comes from the women's rights movement or the Me Too movement.
Sure.
But I think we tend to look at what's popular or trends and go with that, and then take the emphasis off of what we've had historically. Like, for instance, the women's rights movement.
Sure.
We now have the Me Too movement, and so we've changed the title and we've taken the emphasis off of the original movement. Another example is the civil rights movement.
Sure.
Now, we've taken the focus off of civil rights and focused on Black Lives Matter.
Wow.
And so at one point someone tried to say, well, Black Lives Matter is the new civil rights movement. No. I would never allow Black Lives. Now, Black lives do matter, all lives matter, but I would never let the trendy Black Lives Matter take precedence over the civil rights movement, because that was a major turning point for the African Americans or Black Americans altogether.
And not just Black Americans, but civil rights.
Civil rights.
That's
Everybody.
a human thing.
It kind of embarks on human rights.
Sure.
So I would never allow that. But so we have to be careful, like you said, in making sure that we don't take the emphasis off of the main point. The main point being the struggles of women across the nation.
Sure.
So, but they sensationalize so much. So many things so often that it does kind of takes the credibility, or it kind of diminishes the significance of it. So I get what you're saying.
Being a man, as I said, I talk, to brothers in the barbershop, and I come out of corporate America, work active in the church and the community, and hearing these things, not necessarily what's on the television or the famous star show that's supposed to bring all the drama. You hear statements. This is what I've heard, statements. Well, one of the best places in the past that men or women had to meet their lifetime partner was at work. I met my wife at work. I didn't disrespect her, but at least I met her at work.
Right.
And I asked her out for a date. In today's type of an attitude, would you be in court if you ask? I know you shouldn't be.
Right.
But with the dramatization, well, it wasn't solicited.
Right.
I didn't put myself in a position to be asked out to dinner. I was there to do work. Neglecting the natural attraction of the opposite sex.
Right.
Am I making sense, folks?
You are making sense. So what historically would be a natural act, you're trying to get someone who you could make a lifetime partner.
Absolutely. With no disrespect.
No disrespect. It could technically, based on how they've sensationalized everything, it could turn into workplace or sexual harassment in the workplace.
Wow.
As opposed to, hey, I just think that you're an attractive man, or I think you're an attractive woman, and I think that we could be compatible. Can we talk outside of work?
Sure.
Or can I get to know you a little better?
Certainly.
Especially if you're in a professional environment, and you're like, this person has strong work ethics, they're professional, they're earning their own, they're earning their keep. This is someone who I could, have a life with.
Sure.
But unfortunately, again, based on the fact that we have these reality TV shows, we have this sensationalization or dramatization of exploitation of our real life experiences, it takes away from the ability to just get to know people and to just have a life.
Wow. And this is it possible, it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning of our discussion, indoctrination? Is it possible?
It's possible. It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. But again, it goes back to how, we're being psychologically conditioned to just not have strong, healthy relationships or to be so divisive.
And I think that's the disheartening part for me that I bring to the table, and the concern of us as regular people.
Right.
And I'm not saying we're not good people or we're lower because we're regular people, but I'm saying the general consensus of talk that even after the doctor gets off of work, he's sitting at home with his wife or his sister or his mother or his brother or cousin. Well, that's just Joe. He's not Dr. Joe. He's Joe.
Right.
But what do you think about it? Well, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And I see a point of serious concern to consider before we act on some of these statements and actions that people bring out. Because we can be so oversensitive, good morning. Oh my good, oh Lord, I'm suing you. I didn't ask you to say good morning to me.
Right. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm just saying good morning. That's it.
And the interesting part is now, a lot of us there's such thing as an introvert and extrovert, and those people who are just so friendly. At my church, everybody hugs.
Right.
And I had to condition myself. God knows it was not anything intended, but people are, hey, how you doing, sweetheart? And hug, you all right? How's the baby? So-and-so, so-and-so. But the simple fact that I lean in out of Christian love to hug them could be misinterpreted.
Misconstrued as you're touchy-feely.
Wow.
And let me tell you what makes it worse. Social media makes it worse. Now, as a woman, I know that positive affirmations empower and build women up. So I'm more apt to tell another woman, like, hey, beautiful, how are you? But if you make that comment too often, they want to stereotype you like, oh, well, what's going on with this person? Is she gay? And it's like, no. And I think that because we're in the height of the LGBT movement, you're not able to give I'm not able to give another woman a compliment because it will be misconstrued as a hit. Like I'm trying to hit on this person. No, I'm trying to build this woman up. And so it's less likely to have we're less likely to have those positive interactions with each other because we don't want to be labeled or stereotyped. But the fact that it's in your face on social media, it makes it that much worse.
Wow. You guys need to get to talking because communication is very important.
Yes.
In a lot of things. I have a couple of announcements I'm going to ask Minister Lesson. I've asked my technical crew to pull up a couple of things in just a moment. We're going to come back to you, Kelly, in just a moment. Perfect. But if they can give me the camera real quick. Hey, want to let you guys know about a couple of things that's going to be going on in the city of Cincinnati. I told you need to write some things down while my next guest is coming onto the set. Just want to tell you on December the 9th, the 100 Plus African American Men's Course. Those of you that know the 100 Plus African American Men's Course is a singing aggregation composed of citywide singers from all different denominations, all different businesses, all different aspects who actually come together for the purpose of sending underprivileged youth on the Black College Bus Tour. What does that mean? That simply means that within our communities are quality students that have the grades and the education, but because of the economic situation, have the possibility of becoming stagnant and not going to a higher education because, again, as I said, of the financial situation. So what the comprised group of men do, African-American men from the different aspects of city of Cincinnati, we do a musical concert each year where we do theatrical things, we do gospel music, we do a multitude of things that we do to be able to raise money and give a great program for you, our supporters. And it's going to take place December the 9th, 2018. That's going to be at 5 p.m. in the evening, and it's going to take place at the Allen Temple AME Church. And it's going to be, again, 5 o'clock. I think that's, I forgot the address. You guys look. Allen Temple AME Church, Cincinnati, Ohio. Allen Temple AME Church, Cincinnati, Ohio, 5 p.m. in the afternoon or evening. You want to come. You are really going to enjoy this wonderful, 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 wonderful event. Now, we're going to go and have Minister Leslie read this announcement about what's going to be going on at Crossroads Community Center in reference to upcoming. I'm going to ask my guest to come on the set right now because I tried to give the leadway and ask him just please, while I got the camera on me, to come on. Deacon James Lewis, come on the set right now and mic up. So once we get finished with this particular part, we can go right into my second guest. So anyway, let's hear this announcement about what's going on at the Crossroads Community Center.
Thank you, Henry. Just want to announce on the 31st of October, there's going to be a very, very special event happening called the Crucial Catch Day. And it's sponsored by the NFL, the National Football League. And what it's trying to do is to catch people before incidents happen like colon cancer and breast cancer. So we want everybody to come out to 5 East Liberty Street. That is in Over the Rhine on Wednesday, October the 31st from 12 to 4 p.m. It's the Crucial Catch Day. It's a day devoted to promoting the importance of screening for cancer so it can be found and treated early. And the National Football League is one of the organizations that's sponsoring this. And their tagline is, when it comes to cancer, offense is the best defense. And what they're going to do, they're going to have free mammograms. They're going to have on-the-spot screenings done by ProScan. There will be doctors that will be on site to do screenings for colorectal cancer. Representatives from different organizations will be there answering questions, giving out educational materials. There's going to be food, giveaways, raffle prizes. There's going to be some celebrity bingos, people that are going to be there. But we're inviting everybody to come out to 5 East Liberty Street. That's on Liberty and Vine and Over the Rhine at the Crossroad Health Center. I will be there. Individuals who don't have Medicaid or insurance, there'll be information about that there. And we just wanted everyone to come out so that they can be healed, delivered, and set free.
Okay, there you have it, guys. We want to be at the Crossroads. That's in the down Over the Rhine community to be able to get all of those free services. We try to go to Forest Park, Tri-County, the many, many, many different areas to talk about. What a great opportunity to be able to get those services for free, promoting that particular facility. I think it's on the corner of Vine and Liberty Street in the West End, where you can actually get all of those services. You heard those dates. And so that's so important that you get the information. We're about to go to a gentleman that we're bringing on the set who is renowned in Cincinnati. This group he's about to talk about has been singing for over 52 years. That's a long time to be singing. Now, unlike some of the civic things we talk about, this is actually a gospel group. But reason being, the reason we brought them, because it's such a milestone in the legacy of their ministry in song. And I thought it would be really, really important to let you know that it's going to transpire next month. So he's going to give us a little more information about it and all these exciting guests that are going to be coming. Don't mean to get tongue-tied, but are going to be coming to the city of Cincinnati. We have attended these concerts for the past 2 years, and I really have to tell you, it is really exciting. Exciting from the perspective, you see a lot of classic gospel groups coming from all around the country to help them celebrate their anniversary and just give Cincinnati a really wow performance of the best quartet music in the world. So please help me welcome to Let's Talk to talk about this particular event that's going to take place November the 11th. Please welcome Deacon James Lewis to Let's Talk. Deacon.
Yes, sir. Yes,
welcome
sir.
to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You guys got an anniversary coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
coming up on November 11th.
November the 11th.
November the 11th.
And what year anniversary is this again?
52nd year.
50. Wow, 52 years.
52 years.
That's
we've
a
been
lo-
on the board.
Now we know you are not a member for 52 years.
No.
Yeah, you look a little bit too young. look a whole lot too young to be in the group for 50
Yeah,
years.
but I've been there 35 years.
And you are the manager,
Yes,
and you
sir.
are the one that's continuing the legacy of the original members, correct?
With the help of the good Lord.
Absolutely, of
All
course.
right,
All
all
things
right, all right.
is our strength. So they got started in what year?
1966.
Now, you know, all I had to do was think back, count back. Remember I told you about I had to call somebody special when it comes to the kids counting? I told you that's one of those cases. Say that again?
1966.
1966, and I know you know some of the original members. And guys, you know some of the original members. For those of you in Cincinnati, some of you in the other areas of Ohio, you may not recognize some of these names, but the people in Cincinnati, talk about some of the folks who were really heavy in the media, very popular in the community, that were original members of this.
The original member was Reverend S.T. Jurdo.
S.T. Jurdo.
Reverend
And
S.T.
that
Jurdo.
was, S.T. Jurdo was on Channel 12?
Channel 12.
And what was the name of the show? Jericho
Jericho Road Show.
On the Jericho Road.
Yes.
I was a little boy then.
But he was one of the organizer. Him and Ed Stevenson, Walter Davis,
Ed Stevenson, Walter Davidson. Wow.
Sam Allen. Those
Wow.
guys are going on.
Wow. But
Yeah.
you still have some that are still remaining.
Yeah. But Reverend Jurdo is still here.
Wow. How awesome.
Yeah, he's still here.
How awesome. And he'll be at the anniversary as well.
Well,
hopefully.
we hope he'll be there.
Okay.
He talked about it. But
Yeah. We'll have to pep him
he
up.
was there when we did our 50. You remember our
I
50?
do. I
he
do.
was there. He
It
was
was very
there.
exciting.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you guys were recognized by the governor,
Yes.
recognized by the Senate,
Senate,
the Congress,
gotta
as
keep-
well
keep
as
on
by,
Senate.
yes, and also you were recognized
By
by
the
President
president.
Obama,
Oh, yes, sir.
Barack Obama, for that tenure of ministry in
Right, sir.
Cincinnati. So you guys are legendary.
Yeah,
And
legendary soul
the
redeemer.
legendary soul redeemers. So it's going to take place November the 11th.
Right.
Tell us where it's going to take place.
Going to take place right there at Beulah Baptist Church.
Beulah Baptist
Beulah
Church. That's in
Baptist.
Cincinnati,
Yeah,
Ohio.
that's in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, what is that address?
That's
Beulah
the
Baptist?
1834 Section Road. That is in the little
18
suburb of Cincinnati, which is called Roselawn.
Roselawn,
Yes.
1834
34.
Section Road
Mm-hmm.
in Roselawn. That's really, like you said, a neighborhood in Cincinnati.
Right.
November the 11th. What time is it going to take place?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. in the evening.
5 p.m. in the evening.
5 p.m. at the Beulah Baptist
Baptist
Church
Church.
on Section Road. So I know you guys have traditionally had a great lineup from all over the country. So what cities did you pull these great guys out
Well,
this year?
we kind of got great guys coming in from Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, wow,
Yeah.
the Bluegrass State.
Yes, so we got
And who
the
are-
Golden Crown.
The Gold, you've had them on the program
They
before.
had them before.
Wow.
They are the legend. They're pretty old too. They've been out there quite a long time. Been working with them for years.
Yeah, but you know, and I have to say this, man, even though they are a seasoned group, the sound is not dated.
No.
They don't sound like a group that is, you know, from the 1950s. You know, the music is updated, the deliverance, there's a lot of energy. Because of what I don't want people to misconceive is that it's, you know, a bunch of senior citizens coming in.
No.
So on. So it's a very energetic,
Right.
very entertaining program and celebration for the 52 years. So
Right.
the Golden Crowns out of Louisville, Kentucky. And who else?
We have Standard coming out of Indianapolis.
Standard out of
Standard,
Indianapolis.
yeah,
Now, they've
yeah.
been here before.
No.
But this is new.
This is new.
This is the new group, Standard
This
out of, okay, wow.
But
And
they've been around the country. They real good.
Okay.
They're real good.
Wow.
I think this could be good.
Wow. Standard out of Louisville, Indianapolis,
In
Indiana.
Indianapolis,
Okay, you've got Kentucky, Indiana, and
Then we got Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Humble Sons out of Dayton, Ohio.
Humble Sons out of Dayton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And who else?
We got Restored right here at City of Cincinnati, our own home group.
Restored in the city of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so we're basically talking about, we're going to be having November the 11th, the Soul Redeemers anniversary
Mm-hmm.
at Beulah Baptist Church on Section Road Ohio, Indiana, Dayton, Cincinnati. They're coming from everywhere.
Everywhere.
To help you celebrate
Yes, sir.
52 years.
52 years.
For more information, how do they contact you?
368
368
5520.
5520. 368 5520.
Area code 513.
513. Give the number one more time.
Area code 513 368 5520.
5520. All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, you heard it. Soul Redeemers, the event at the Crossroads, excuse me, my love, 100 plus African American men's course. Talk about, I got about 5 minutes. You need to get out and vote. I said I wasn't going to tell, I said I never was going to tell you what you need to do.
Yes.
Folks, and you heard the former President Barack Obama, stop complaining, vote.
Just go vote.
Go vote. There's so many opportunities, and you know, let me say something. This is real quick. Deke, you are out of what part of Alabama?
Selma, Alabama.
Selma, Alabama. Very quickly, can you tell me how challenging it was for you coming up, having to deal with some of the issues with just obtaining the right to go and cast your ballot?
Well, it was pretty rough. I mean, at that time, we really couldn't do it. They had big protests to do that, you know. We have people that have passed and gone on just to give us the right to vote now.
Wow.
You know, it's a legacy, and anybody that doesn't vote that really doesn't know that we have people that was out in the trenches for us to make the way possible for us to vote. We didn't have the opportunity. 50 years ago we had the opportunity.
Wow.
But
Which is not far.
Yeah. And then it began to, you know, one incident back in, and when they hit the march to Montgomery out of Selma, sick the dog on them and all that. So that's a rough situation. So we right now we have accomplished a lot. We haven't got old, but we have accomplished a lot. And it's important to go vote.
Yes.
You can't put nobody in there unless you vote.
That's right.
You vote for the right person, you know, and you have to keep yourself, you know, educated on who this and who that, you know.
Sure,
but
sure.
it's the thing you have to do,
Sure.
you know. But it's important to vote.
I agree.
Every vote counts.
We talked about, before we went on the air, and it just came out of my head, that to understand above and beyond, we identify with our different cultures, African American, Asian, so and so, but the common line is that when you were born on this soil, in this country, you are an American. And one of the most important things as an American is to express your desires.
That's right.
And your desire is registered upon your voting.
All right.
It's registered. Please do not misunderstand. I love my heritage. I wrap my arms around it. It's beautiful. But the bottom line, I am an American, and so are you. Your responsibility as an American is to be accounted for. The purpose of the vote is to get your point of view.
Yeah.
I agree that I want this guy in office. I agree I want this policy. I agree I don't want this policy, etc., etc. But when you don't, and other people who take advantage through mass numbers, and you don't, like it says, somebody said, the words have the word vote, V-O-T-E. If you take that and took same letters, veto. When you don't vote, you veto. So guess what? I need you to V-O-T-E. Don't veto.
That's right.
So you can do this, you know. And polling places, Ms. Prather, you can expound. I know everything is open. I'm not familiar with all that stuff, but give us some information.
We have extended, the Board of Elections has extended hours during the midterm election. And I just want to say, Deacon, I can appreciate you sitting here and you sharing your story and the fact that people died for the right to vote. Just this past...
It's some horrible deaths.
Yes, some horrible deaths. And just this past Sunday at Beloved Church in Avondale, Congressman John Lewis was
Yeah,
also
I
there.
didn't know he was there.
And, you know, he is a well-known historic figure, but you are just as significant as a
agree.
layperson to share your experience. And so I appreciate
Yeah,
you sharing
he
that.
was there in Selma. He was
Yes,
there when
he
they
was,
were having it.
okay. Yeah, he was there in Selma with Fred Shuttlesworth, with
Yeah,
Reverend
right,
Dr.
right.
Martin Luther King, but you were also there as a person who was affected. And so I think that your testimony as a layperson is more impactful. So thank you so much. And
I
like you
agree.
said, our vote is our voice. Our vote is connected to everything. Our ability to get housing, our ability to get loans, our ability to make sure that we have fresh food in our communities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, they're creating food deserts in poor communities, and so, you know, we're dealing with an era of have and have not. So we've dealt with racism for generations, or since the inception of this country, but now it's like poor black people are being affected, poor white people are being affected, and so
Sure.
it's truly an era of have and have nots. So the Board of Elections are open for extended hours during the last 2 weeks of voting, the next 2 weeks. This election is the most important election of our lifetime. This is where we give our next president a team. A lot of times we put so much emphasis on the general election, but the midterm election is where
major.
Yes,
That's
it's major
important,
because
the midterm.
whoever wins the popular vote, if you align things properly, they will also get the votes of the Electoral
Sure,
College.
sure.
So I know the week prior to the midterm election, the polls are open until 7 o'clock. We're encouraging everyone to vote early, but on the day of election, if you have not voted early, make sure you go.
Sure.
I think the polls will be open till 7 o'clock.
Sure.
And we need to get as many people out to vote as possible.
Sure. And,
So,
and regardless of what your situation is, call and get information.
that's right.
You can't do what you don't know.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Uber and Lyft, they're giving free rides. So some transportation companies are providing free rides to the poll. The
Wow.
churches are doing souls to the polls. Alpha Phi Alpha, they're providing transportation to the polls. It's that significant. This is the most important election.
So let's say that. Remember, I told you guys to get your pencils down. So I said this is the beginning of the program. Uber is providing free transportation to voting. What is it for souls? What was it?
Souls to the polls.
Souls to the poll. You guys get on Facebook and put all that other stuff on there. These names, these titles. Souls to the polls. Additional one.
Souls to the polls, and the fraternity Alpha Phi Alpha, Fraternity Incorporated, they're also providing rides.
Wow.
And there's also jobs for people who want to canvass for different elections. At 5020 Reading Road, people can come and get jobs, and then they can also be part of the carpool to the elections. So 5020 Reading Road.
Is it, I know you have your business. Is there a number we can give somebody, even if it's just
Yes.
your number to give them
Yes, sir. 513-258-9586.
One more time.
They can contact me personally, Kelly Prather, at 513-258-9586. We'll give you a job for $15 an hour where you can assist with the election.
Now, one more time that number, because I'm.
It's $15 an hour. $15 an hour. 513 is area code 513-258-9586. Come get a job and come help make sure that we have the best voter turnout since President Obama was elected.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So important, and that's one of the things I love about at the table. The discussion at the table, we get a chance to talk about so many topics. We went all the way from that to the Me Too movement, but what's interesting is how it all interconnected together.
It is.
To bring a point of discussion. I think what's missing is the communication, where when we didn't have all of the cable channels, when we didn't have all of the radio shows, people got together and discussed stuff. And so there's a difference between a one-sided projected view from a television or from a radio station versus live people getting together having a discussion. Like she said, she appreciated you, and I appreciate you as well because of the simple fact of looking at. I was listening to a speech. It's called the Drum Major Instinct by Dr. Martin Luther King. And one of the things that Dr. King expounded upon was while they were in one of the jails down south, some of the Caucasian brothers didn't fully understand what the civil rights movement was. So they were proceeding to ask him, well, why are you out here? What does this mean? And he says, well, let me ask you a question. You talk about job and economics. And he says, well, you know, guys, we make this. He said, well, what do you make? And the guys said they made such and such and such. It was way less than what the blacks that were out there marching. He told me, he said, man, you need to be out there marching with us.
Right.
You know, because this really affects you as well.
Right.
But because of the lack of understanding that we are connected, it's not one is greater or lesser, but we are all equal as human beings.